Hello and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at networking in Nylo. Networking allows us to make HTTP requests to do stuff like GET requests, PUT requests, posts, and also delete. And if you're familiar with API requests, your application might need to post some data or fetch something back from an API and display that in your application. So in Nylo, there's a useful helper called network, which you can see here. And we're going to taking a deep dive into how you can get started with the networking in Nylo. If you haven't already, go to nylo.dev and download the project. Then you can head back over to documentation to hopefully follow along a little bit with this tutorial. But in this demo, we're going to be using an API that I've created. It's a very basic API. It's just for messaging. And it's just gonna respond with this object which has a data, a message key, and inside data it will just contain our payloads such as this. So for message 1 we get the first message, and for messages we will get like a list of messages, same with in this this key of data, also a message at the bottom. I'll also be just displaying like some 500s if, for instance, the server has an issue, just to show you like how you can handle that in your application. Also the creation of data, and lastly passing like a bearer token to authenticate your users. So without further ado, what we're going to do is head over to the project and jump straight into some code. So the project that I've slightly modified just for this demo. So we have 3 new buttons. One is view messages, which will view all the messages, which you can see here. One's also going to view one message, and one will actually create the message that will be actually coding. But I'm just going to take you through how you can get set up really. So first thing you'll want to do is first get a representation of your model. So for me, this is just this bit. So this is my message, not the actual data itself, but this is a message. So what I will do is first head over to Google and just type in JSON to Dart and just click the first link. You can add a JSON model, which you can see I'm just going to add here, and then you can give it a name. So we can call this message. And this will generate some Dart code from your JSON. So you can see here, you can just like copy to clipboard and head back over to your project, and then head over to app, the models, and just create your model like I have here. So you can just like copy and then paste like so. And once you've done that, then the next thing you'll need to do is then just head over to config and then decoders. And inside here you can see I've already added my decoders for the messages, you can see I've created one that will be a list representation, and one which will just be the standard object. And this data will actually contain the HTTP body, which comes from obviously the request. And you can see here I'm just rather than just passing data in, I'm actually passing in this this key, which is data, which just represents this data, and then this will obviously pass it from our helper method from JSON. You can see how it passes that, and that's all done through using the JSON to Dart website. So once you've added your decoders, then you can head over to app, then networking, then API service, and inside this file you can change the base URL to whatever you like. I've changed mine to the test domain that I've created, and then I've added all my methods for actually retrieving data or sending data to that API. So you can see they're all here. Important thing to note is if you're using the decoders in Nylo, you just need to reference it as part of the generic on the network helper, and also just make sure that this is nullable for your kind of return type, because this can return a null value if it returns a 500 or unusual response. So yeah, you're going to want to add that in there. You can see I've missed it for this one, so what I need to do here is just add that, and also ensure that the future returns that object as well. If you're returning like a list of objects, you're going to want to make sure that you're passing that here, so like a list of messages, and then it will tell Nylo under the hood to use this decoder opposed to using this one. So once you've added all that, I'll just take you through the UI of how this looks. So inside my resources pages, I've got two new ones. One's messages and one is the detail message. Messages represents this one here, so you can see this reviews all the messages, and this is the kind of the class that I've created. So you can see here of initializing the API service, which represents this. I'm setting like initializing messages to nothing at the start, and then when I make a call to fetch the messages, just checking that it's not null, and then setting the messages equal to the messages that come from the API. And this is currently how it's being displayed. So you can see the UI is very simple. We've just got like a leading container that just fetches the image, which is this bit here, and then this is also the name from the API, which is just there. So hopefully that's like a simple way you can see like you can start using that, and you can see it all works. And scroll through the list, and for the next example, which is just fetching one message, if I head over to the message detail page here, you can see this is the message page here, and here we're kind of doing a similar thing. We're just initializing a message, which obviously can be null, and then creating an instance of our API service, fetching that message and checking that it's not null, and then setting that message, and again it will all appear here. So if we just build and run the app again, just to show you, we click messages, you see that loads. If we click view messages, that also loads. So that's like a quick introduction really for getting started using the network helper. All you need to do is add all your methods here for retrieving the data or posting the data, and then you can just start using it just initialize the service, and then just start posting data or retrieving it, just like a method like this really, fetch message. So yeah, one of the things I am going to go over in this video is also how to pass in like a token, like a bearer token. Sometimes your application might need to authenticate a user to actually retrieve data, and you can also do that. So I've created another method called fetch message with bearer token, and this API route is this one here. So to show you this in like action really, yeah, if I post this, try to post, you can see that this token is invalid. Hello world 25, then we should get a valid response. So yeah, we're gonna take you through like how you can do that. So if we jump into the method, I'll show you the code. So rather than doing a like a shorthanded callback, just returning it, we're gonna create a kind of a callback like this, and for that we get the request. We can access options and headers, and then enter the header, authorization, and bearer. And with this, rather than having hello world, we can actually just change that to hello world 25. And if we rebuild the app and just retry that, view message, so we got 404, which means that the looks like I have made a mistake on this one. So we just need to change the messages 404 to messages token, and that will be working. So if we just update that, head over to messages, and you can see our token is valid, so we're getting the right message. If we just put hello world and try and rebuild it, try access messages, you can see we get an error. And you might be asking yourself, like, how can you return the actual error response from this? So for instance, if we have a bad response, you see we get this message, invalid token, and we can actually display that in the app using the display error. This will actually allow us to display an error on the UI side. So to do that, I'm just going to use show toast notification, and for the title I'm just going to use the DO response. So here, to display the toast notification, I'm just going to call show toast notification. It's like a helper in Nylo. You can use show toast notification and just display that message that comes from the response. So with this done, the last thing we need to do is just head over to our message detail page and just update one thing. If we just quickly add API service.set context to the context and rerun the app. Now if we head over to view messages, you'll see invalid token, and that's coming from our database. And yeah, if we have a correct token, just like that, and we try to go to that page, you see that it's working. So yeah, that's one way you can actually handle errors in Nylo throughout your application. Lastly, what we're going to be doing is creating a message as well, so I'm going to take you guys through that. So for this, you can see we have this button, create message, which represents this button. You can see if we click it at the moment, nothing happens. But what we're going to do is allow it to actually create a message with this payload like this, and we should get a response which will contain the model, and it will insert into the database. Just to show you the database at the moment, so you can see there's it's kind of empty, there's nothing in it. So to show you this in action, I'm going to actually demo another feature of Nylo using the API helper. And this is just more like an easier way really to access an API if you need to just make a request. So you can use API and then you just use create message. The request represents the API service. To make this clearer, I will just use service, just so it's easier to follow. So yeah, I'm going to use the API service and then create the message. And for this, we just need a name. We'll just use Jeff, and we'll just say hello Nylo. So now that we've added this API helper, what we can do is start using it. So what I'm going to do is just rebuild the app, and then hit create message. See here, yeah, that's been successful, and we've created a new message. If we just check the database just to make sure that is in there, you can see, yeah, Jeff message. And if we just change to my name, just rebuild one more time and create message, should also have a second record in, so you can see that's all working. Behind the scenes, if we just have a quick look at the create message method, all this is doing is calling this route, and we're just passing this data to the API. One thing I did forget to do is also pass this message, but you can kind of get the idea really how it's all working. One of the other clever things with the API helper is you can actually add a context as well. So add a build context like so, and yeah, what this will do is actually pass a context in, so you'll be able to start using the error helper as well. So display error, and then this will get called to obviously display an error to your user if something goes wrong. And we can kind of demonstrate that here actually. So if we just pass in an empty object to the messages, you see we obviously get an error, not really a friendly error, but you can kind of get the idea. So next I'm just going to go over how you can actually create an API service in Nylo. In your application, you might need to make several different API requests to different services, and a good way to organize that in Nylo is actually just creating a different service for obviously different APIs. So you can do that by first running this command, which will actually create them for you. And in this instance, this will create me a user API service running that command. If you had an API service, for instance, something to do with cars, you could call it like API service.cars. And if we head back over to networking, you'll see that these two new API services have been created, and then you can just update your API services, the base URLs for them. And yeah, you can kind of learn more about that in the docs. So essentially, yeah, it will kind of speed up your ability to make API services. Right, if you don't want to use the decoders method in Nylo, you do that with handle success. This will give you full access to the response and how it's returned back from the network helper. So I'll just show you what that looks like. So if we head back over to our create message, rather than actually setting the message here, what we can do is just remove that, and here we can actually add handle success. Just add that in like that, and this will actually give us the raw response from the API request. So here we'll be able to access the data and actually pass and return the object manually, really. So if we just do that, then do this data, this will still work the exact same. So if we just build and run, and quickly head over to here and just update this line of code, we just print out the response here. We should get a message. And yeah, you can see there we get the instance of message. Just to double check, just to show you, I just put like a yay, and you can definitely see that's the instance of the message. So you can see that's working in exactly the same way as if we were using decoders, but it gives you a bit more control over if you need to like manipulate the data, or if you just need to, for whatever reason, just handle the response manually. So in Nylo, there is also an argument called handle failure, and it works quite similarly to the handle success. The only difference is it's used for if there's like an error, you can do something like have a different response for the message or handle it a bit differently. But this is essentially how that argument looks, and yeah, you'll kind of have full access to the error and be able to manage it like that. So I'd highly recommend just going through the networking docs and just getting a bit more familiar with it. But that's really the basics for getting started making API requests in your application. I really hope you found this video useful. If you have, definitely leave a like or a comment, and I'll catch you in the next one.